Back once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time from good friend John Zero Cool. And he wanted my thoughts on the Three Stooges in general. Now, before I get to that, if anyone's ever interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, random topics, it could be reactions, it could be reviews, re-reviews, news, lists, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send a request either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. Now, the Three Stooges. They are characters that I grew up with. I say characters, but people. There's Moe, Howard, Larry Fine, Curly Howard. Then there's Shemp Howard. Then to a lesser extent, Curly Joe Dorita, Joe Besser. I first heard about them when I was a kid. And we had these VHS tapes where a bunch of these shorts were taped. A ton of them to each videotape. So that way you could watch 6 hours of Three Stooges, one after the other after the other. And it was funny, even as a kid I thought, man, it'd be cool to have like all of these one day. And lo and behold, they started releasing these sets. I'm like, wow, finally. Although they deserve a Blu-ray. Columbia, Sony, whoever, get these on Blu-ray. They fucking deserve it. At the very least, if not anything else, for a type of preservation. I think it's richly deserved. It's the Three Stooges. To be one of the all-time classic comedy teams. Without a doubt, without any hesitation. And that wasn't even planned. Oh, you sure? No hesitation, but you hesitate? No, I was just too stupid to think of the fucking word. Now, it's the thing is, there might be a lot of people watching this who don't know what or who the Three Stooges are. Because they were, their heyday, I would say, is the 30s and 40s. But technically started in the 1920s. It was... And actually, let me find the picture of them. It first started with these three guys. Moe Howard, the oldest one. Shemp Howard, who is Moe's brother. And then the guy over there they found later. And the three of them were an act for this guy named Ted Healy. Shemp was tired of people like Ted Healy, and he wanted to go off on his own. He started doing his own shorts, and so pretty soon they got Curly, who is also the brother of Moe and Shemp, and they became very popular together. I would say of the Three Stooges teams put together, this is the most famous one. Understandably so, it's my favorite too, although I do really enjoy Shemp as well. Because I would say Shemp, I don't know if I would say he's underrated, but he held his own fairly well. But if you were to ask me which is my favorite, it would be Curly, whose real name was Jerome. And they actually did shorts where it was Ted Healy and the Three Stooges. And Ted Healy's names would be in these big, gigantic letters, and then the Three Stooges would be these tiny letters. And right there you kind of saw, okay, Ted Healy, don't know the guy personally, don't know all the details, but I don't know if he was as villainous as shown in the 2000 TV movie biopic of these guys, but I would not be surprised if there's at least some element of him being a prick. One thing led to another, and studios saw this Ted Healy thing isn't working. Which is true. I've seen some of the shorts with Ted Healy. Ted Healy was pointless. Ted Healy was just the guy who just beat up on the Three Stooges, and he was the boss, the leader, but he was just unneeded. He was superfluous, if that's the word I'm thinking of. He was just... These guys, what makes these guys work is the chemistry, the timing between the three. And for people who don't even know who these guys are, they are usually playing people of, you just say blue collar, of their day. where they would work these jobs, whatever job they can, almost every job you could think of, whether it be plumbers, whether it be electricians, whether it be they were in the military, they were all sorts of different jobs you could think of, doctors, and for the most part they were just trying to do their best to make it through each day. And back in the day of the 30s, 20s, the 40s, when you went to the theater, it wasn't just, well, this is when we had movies in the theater. It wasn't just you have the movie and that's it. When you would go to the movie, it was a whole experience. It was a whole afternoon of experience for one pay. You know, one payment, would see cartoons. For example, in the 40s, you'd have the Superman Fleischer cartoons, or maybe a Popeye cartoon, maybe a Betty Boop cartoon. You would have a short, a la the Three Stooges or other folks, and they'd be about 20 minutes long. Essentially, imagine if you go to a movie and you got to see a 20-minute with no commercial TV show or TV episode, and then your feature presentation. Actually a pretty good deal. If you have enough time, you said, you know what, we're going to make it a night. You go in, you see a cartoon, you see an episode of a TV show, and you get to see your feature presentation. That's actually something that's missing nowadays, and I think would have been cool to see again. I kind of sad I missed out on that, or we all missed out on that. But yeah, they would show these shorts in the theater. This is before the time of TV. There was no such thing as TV. And like I said, what made these guys work, they were just so funny, and not just the physical comedy. You got the eye pokes, which the way they would do it is do this, technically do it above their eyes so that it wasn't really poking their eyes. Because if you do this, it looks like your eyes being poked with the way the camera, but you're not hurting anybody. Slaps, bops to the head, kicks, all sorts of physical pratfalls, all sorts of physical comedy, and it was also the timing of it. People forget when you do that, there's a certain timing, certain marks you have to hit. Boop, boop, it's like a rhythm of a song. You gotta hit each of the beats. And they did it very well, and they all had their... They were all essential. As Homer Simpson would say, Mo is their leader. And I always loved Mo Howard. His reactions at times were the funniest reactions. The way he would react to the other two. And yeah, he would poke them and stuff, but at times he would get his comeback. Or he did his... They would give their comeback on him. And when he got hit, a lot of times it would, like I said, would be the most hilarious, most funny reactions. Curly, the way he would react to stuff. There was the using the hat and he pointed his finger like a machine gun. The way he did these thumbs, don't even know how the hell you did the thumbs. He had like this thumb thing and do this slap and do this. Once in a while, he would get on the floor and go in this circle, almost like walking sideways in a 360. Larry, there were moments where he's either good with the musical instruments. He's very proficient in musical instruments, and that they would be utilized from time to time. And not just their physical comedy, but their verbiage. Yeah, they had such timing, they could have this snappy dialogue between each other. And at times, jokes that I didn't get as a kid, but older is hilarious. For example, I would say one of their best, it's definitely one of their most well-known, because there were a handful of episodes that went into the public domain. Public domain is somehow something happened with the rights, and then anybody that could have a VHS company or a DVD company could release the episodes. One was Mouse in the Palace. I think this one was Shimp. Forgive me, it's hard to remember all the episodes because they made throughout the years, what, close to 200? Quite a bit. But there was one where Shemp, Moe, and Larry were waiters. And there's this joke where they think Larry is killing a fucking cat and a dog for food. But no, and it cuts back and it's Larry, the dog and cat are there and they're just fighting each other or accidentally stepped on a tail. Or it's just them meow. It just... So then Larry brings out the food and they think they're eating the... Oh, it's the cat's meow. Like... So they think they're eating cat and dog when they're not. But okay, the disorder in the court, which is the big courtroom short, there's a line where the judge is telling Curly, he's saying if you swear, and Curly goes, no, but I know all the words. And again, you hear jokes like that as a kid. I didn't get it. But as a, oh wow, they know all the cuss words. He's saying if you swear, no, but I know all the words. That's what I mean. There's certain verbiage that I think is underrated. Not when people talk about Three Stooges, of course, the physical comedy comes first and foremost. But the way these guys, whether it be Curly or even the eras of Shemp, their verbiage, their back and forth, their timing was hilarious as well. And it's just one of those sad things that I do wonder if a lot of kids, they're not going to grow up with these guys. They're not going to know who these guys are. Part of that is limitations that we had back in the day where you didn't have the internet. You didn't have literally a million pieces of information that you could watch, whether it be YouTube, whether it be how we can all find movies online, streaming services. And I don't see how there's any way a kid is going to come across a Three Stooges at this day and age where they'll get more and more into video games, streaming, boom, 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 now. Do you think a kid is going to find a Red Skelton, a Lauren Hardy, a Three Stooges? If they do, I give credit to them. I'm not saying you have to like the Three Stooges. I'm just saying a lot of these, sadly, I don't think it's going to give much of a chance unless it's one of those things where a parent shows them it. And that's also the sad thing is, will these guys be forgotten in time? I hope not, because when you look through their life, they were the underdogs, where they were not paid much by Columbia. They were not given much chances to have feature-length films like the other guys, Abbott Costello, even Lauren Hardy, others. Again, there was not a lot of films they got to do, unless much later in life with Curly Joe, who's a different stooge, and films like this. But they would not get paid much. And also the injuries they would go through. I mean, these were quite a lot of physical stuff. There's a moment, I forget which episode it is, but Moe's on top of this thing, and he slides down, because it falls apart. That's what it's supposed to do. But when he fell down and hit his side, he got broken ribs. I guarantee you there's a lot of other fucking injuries about that. And things were going very successful, things were going very well, and then you got to around 1946 or so. It was around there. Curly suffered a stroke on the final day of filming Halfwit's Holiday and retired at age 43. Moe realized there was only one person who could fill his baby brother Curly's shoes, his older brother Shemp, who ironically Curly had replaced in 1932. The Three Stooges were born in 1925 when Moe and Shemp met Larry Fine. By the 1930s, Shemp left to pursue a film career in Hollywood. By the time Moe called in 1946, Shemp, was in films with the likes of W.C. Fields, John Wayne, and Abbott Costello. But he accepted Moe's offer and the original Three Stooges reunited. Shemp's first short was Fright Night, nothing to do with the movie. Curly did recover enough to make one appearance in Hold That Lion, where Curly is sitting down and he's sleeping while Moe, Shemp, and Larry are walking through this, I believe it's a train, and they see this guy snoring only the way Curly could do. And it's the only shot all four of them are on screen. And sadly, Curly passed away in 1952 at the age of 48. Which that was a big blow. That was a big blow. And Shemp, he did a great job. You could say he could not escape out of Curly's shadows, but there's a lot of people who prefer Shemp the most. And while I prefer Curly, Shemp, still a valid choice. He also did a wonderful job. And a lot of his shorts are very funny as well. Now, it's hard to pick my favorites because, again, there's just so many. I mean, just to mention a couple, going through these. Woman Haters, that was their first on here in 1934. At least with their deal with Columbia Pictures. And funny enough, when you, like, if you get the sets of these, which I'm going to show these more in depth at the end of the video, Woman Haters was very different from what they would do later, because it was all done in rhyme. It's interesting and fun to watch in retrospect, but obviously that didn't keep through in the others, which is preferable. But it was still a fun thing to see. Men in Black, nothing to do with the movies. That's when they played doctors, Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard. That's definitely one of their best ones, and that was actually nominated for an Oscar for Best Short. Yes, so technically the Three Stooges are Oscar-nominated comedians. And some of their great ones, Disorder in the Court, like I said, that was one of a group of like 4 or 5 that you would always see everywhere. And more than likely, if someone first saw a Three Stooges short, it was something like Disorder in the Court or Mouse in the Palace or something else. Because they were everywhere. Hey, we need to sell this, public domain, put those shorts on there. I believe they were actually the first people to mock Hitler. Well before even when Charlie Chaplin did in The Great Dictator. And this is before the U.S. went into World War II, and they were mocking Hitler. And I'm trying to see if there's a picture of that somewhere amongst here. I forget what year it was when that happened. It might have been actually before this. Let me double check real quick. Sorry about that. I just want to double check. See. Oh yeah, I was hoping there'd be a picture in here. But yeah, there was a moment where Moe would be a mock Hitler and the other guys. And it was just fun and rather brave that before the U.S. went into there, someone said, fuck it, we don't make fun of Hitler. Fuck this guy. And I commend him for that, because, hell, you don't make fun of a piece of shit like Hitler? It's good in my book. And it was called You Nazi Spy, and there was a second one as well. And I believe they were the first, because I can't think of any others that did that. And I do wonder if people would ever get into this, like if they saw it, if it would be their cup of tea. People would say, well, you grew up with it. But also think of it this, when I first saw these, it was the 1990s. I was born in the 80s. By the time I was really getting into watching movies, it was when I was 7 years old, which is about 1990. And it's not as if I grew up in that era. I mean, again, it was the 90s when I first saw these guys. So as a technically a 90s kid, if I didn't get into the Three Stooges and not care about black and white, but that's the thing, people are like, oh, it's black and white. I can't watch it if it's black and white. Or if that's your preference, teach their own. I do think that you're missing out on a lot of stuff. You know, the stuff of Red Skelton, the stuff of Lauren Hardy, the stuff of Abbott Costello, like Abbott Costello beat Frankenstein, the stuff of these guys. What's all those, I would say the Three Stooges is my ultimate favorite. And I would love to hear if other people share their love of the Three Stooges like I do. Feel free to comment, please do, on your memories of the Three Stooges. Of course, usually I say that and not a lot of people comment. But I can understand because people are busy with life. And I don't comment on every video I see. So I can't blame people for that. I'm just asking, I'd be very curious because I do think they deserve the love and I think they deserve the... Because, like I was saying before, success in the fact that they got to consistently work, but they didn't get rich or anything. And I said there was a few years where they were kind of shuffled off, still not really getting much for features, as in full-length movies. And then Sally Shemp passed away. Then they worked with Joe Besser, and Joe Besser, who is this guy here, I was not a fan of him. I was not a fan of the character he would play, which is very whiny. Oh, stop. Oh, stop that. He rarely did seem like he didn't want to get hit as much as a stooge. He didn't want to get slapped as much. And that kind of fucked up the rhythm of the Three Stooges. And just, again, the whiny persona of Joe Besser. And they didn't really want him. They wanted this other guy, Joe Dorita. Which I don't mind him. I would take him over Joe Besser. Obviously because of the name Curly Joe, it did seem like they were trying to do Curly again, but just not as good. But I still would rather watch him than Joe Besser. Because Joe Besser just got on my nerves, Sally. Just was irritating. Fucking irritating. But the Joe Besser years, that didn't last long. And they're like, what are we going to do next? And then with TV, and being shown on TV, and got this resurgence where they went on the road and did stand-up. They did a lot of stuff for TV. They did the Three Stooges cartoons where they voiced the characters and had these little live-action interstitials in between the cartoon. And finally got to do movies. They finally got to do... I mean, they were in some full-length movies back in the day as a supporting role, once in a blue moon, but not as the star. And finally they got to be the stars of these movies. Which, again, I'll show these more in depth at the end. But yeah, I love the chemistry that these guys had with each other, especially Mo, Larry, and Curly. I love, like, Curly just had a great physical nature to him and timing. I would say Curly was I almost want to say he was the John Candy and the Chris Farley of his day. More so Chris Farley. I would say he is the Chris Farley of his day. I really would say that. Just the guy, insanely funny, but seems like insanely sweet and lovable. Larry, I don't want to shortchange Larry. He worked well within the group. Again, just the very shorts. There's when Curly's forced to box, and he's doing badly, but if you're playing the music, pop goes the weasel. Then he goes crazy and he'll beat the shit out of someone, then he'll snap out of it. What happened? There's the short where they're playing football, and I think Curly grabs the ball. I think he's going the wrong way or something. There's the one where they're professors and they have this thing called singing the alphabet, which to this day it got stuck in my head. It's a very interesting way of doing the alphabet. B-A-B, B-B, B-I, B-I, B-O-B, B-I-B-O, B-U-B, B-I-B-O, C-A-C, C-E-C, C-I, C-I, C-O-So, C-I, So, C-U-Su, C-I, So, Su. And they did it much better than I ever could. And yeah, I just... You know, it was clean humor. This has been back to the day where you didn't have... And you didn't need fart jokes. You didn't need dick jokes. You didn't need... And sometimes some of that stuff can make me laugh, of course. Yes. I mean, I also like Andrew Dice Clay, who is very vulgar in his jokes. Not fart jokes, but just other type of jokes. Yeah, I love Adventures Ford Fairlane. I love Richard Pryor. But these guys showed that you could do that while also being clean, but also be hilarious too. And I would definitely say if you haven't seen much of the Three Stooges, I definitely recommend them. I would say maybe the best one to start with would be Men in Black or Disorder in the Court or something along those lines. Before I forget to show each of these, I had these, and that's why the case is a bit beaten up, but the discs, because of the traveling around, they got beaten up a bit. So I bought another one, a cheaper one, so that the discs are a bit more brand new. And that's this set. Because there's two sets. There's the one with these that are much more expensive, and then this one which is much cheaper. I think this one would cost you about $30 or so. Which is a 17-disc set. That's the same that's in those sets. And pretty much it would open like this. Shows what's all on the disc. The issue with this case though is they were stacked one on top of each other. And so what I did was I just put them in these. And I put the double that, even though it's got a couple scratches on it, I just put that on top. And then I'll use those first. And then when they're completely obliterated, get rid of them. And then I have the brand new ones underneath for sort of saving them for a rainy day. And I'm just a big fan of these guys. I'm always worried when stuff like this will be out of print, because there's no word on these getting a Blu-ray. I doubt Sony sadly gives much of a fuck to put these out on Blu-ray, which is ridiculous. And if these DVDs go out of print, that's it. Unless you're streaming, of course. But so I do want physical copies of this stuff. They're the Three Stooges. I think they deserve it. But you have this. And then you have these, which when these were released initially, I thought, wow, finally one of my big time wish lists for releases have been not only been accepted, but they went through all the way. They didn't stop in the middle. Because sometimes companies do that, where they start releasing it, then when they get to the middle or 2/3 in, they just stop altogether. But no, they did release all of them, which I appreciate. So you have Volume 1, 1934 to 1936. And I'm not going to pull the rest of these out, but just to show, it probably just has the same cover, and then it shows what the episodes are. I want to show the bat just in case the good look, you know. Listen, Woman Haters, Punch Drunks, Men in Black, Three Little Pigskin, that's the football one. Oh, another one that was really funny is when back in the day, you had to deliver ice to people. So they would grab this thing of ice with these big claws, and they would run up. And Curly would keep running up, and by the time we get to the top, it turned to a fucking ice cube. Mo, it melted. Free sample. So it runs all down. Okay, grab 2 of them. Okay, so he runs up and then both of them turn into fucking ice cubes. So I did simple stuff like that, but I did the way these guys reacted, the way they performed, the physicality. I did really funny, hilarious stuff. And I have a lot of requests to get to, but I hope I'll find some free time to watch these again in full. But Volume 2, 1937 and 1939. Show a bit of the back there. I like showing them for a bit so people can actually see. So it's not like, okay, wait, Matt, what is it? I can't see it. So, there you go. And what's nice is each one of them has a little bit of different background. Well, I mean, different writing on the back. I was going to read it, but I don't think people care. 1940 to 1942. And there's the... Well, you can't tell, it's just getting blurry. Mo Howard was the first American to portray Hitler on film in 1940's You Nazi Spy. And then the sequel, 1941's I'll Never Heil Again. And then The Plumbing We Will Go. That's a hilarious one. (1943 to 1945). And yeah, I was thinking, like, should I name all the shorts? But no, there'd be no point to it. And then we're getting to, sadly, the end of the Curly Era, 1946 to 1948. The end of the Curly Era and the beginning of the Shemp Era. And then we have the Shemp Era going on, 1949 to 1951. (1952 to 1954). Inside we get to the end of the Shemp Era. In 1955, Shemp died of a sudden heart attack, forcing Mo and Larry to use a stand-in for Shemp. Mo originally wanted vaudeville veteran Joe DeRita. But either he couldn't get out of his contract or the studio said, no, you gotta use Joe Besser. So they used Joe Besser. Columbia Pictures closed the short subjects unit in 1958, thus ending the Three Stooges run after 24 years and 190 shorts. But yeah, the Joe Besser stuff did not last long, which is understandable, just not that great. Now to show some of the other stuff I have of the Three Stooges. I have this right here, which this was only $3. I like the look of this too. It's like hard cardboard. Come in. Like very just hard wood almost. And again, that's a cool picture. I like the white. It's a 4-disc set, as you could tell. See, it was only $3. Opens up like this. Found this in a store back in the day. When did you find DVDs at a store? Now, good luck with that. And this was just a few stuff that I had not seen before. For example, on disc 1, you have Mole, Larry, and Curly Joe Dorita. Their appearance on the Steve Allen Show. A family album. It's a little 20-some minute featurette on the Stooges. Talk a little bit about their life. Nursery Rhymes, roast beef in the movies. Nursery Rhymes is a Ted Healy short. So that way if you want to watch something with Ted Healy and the Three Stooges to know, in my opinion, how Ted Healy just did not work, that was interesting to see retrospectively, historically. And you get to see Mo, Larry, and Curly. You know, even before the Columbia shorts, before the stuff I mentioned. And then roast beef in movies, that's one with Curly by himself. And it's actually called Jerry Howard. His real name is Jerome. I'm like, wow. So it's a short where he's named Jerry Howard, and before he was with the Three Stooges or not with the Stooges. So roast beef in movies is what it's called. Of course, it's gotta be blurry. So like I said, that was interesting to watch. There's also old commercials that Mo, Larry, and Curly Joe Dorita did when television was a thing. And that was fun to see, like, how they were able to do their physical comedy amidst a commercial for TV. Disc 2 is a film called Swing Parade. It's a film that's like an hour and 13 minutes where there's other people starring in it, and once in a while the Three Stooges, Mo, Larry, and Curly pop up. So it's nice to see for their stuff. The rest of it didn't work. And that's the thing with the Three Stooges. Once in a while they'd be in a movie, but small capacity, but they were always the best things about it. Because you didn't care about the stars. And with movies like this back in the day, it would always be a lot of musical numbers, and then a bit of comedy, and then a bit of romance, and it'd be like, here's the comedy, guys, then here's guy and girl romance that honestly you never really cared about. They didn't have a lot of musical numbers. And just back then they thought, well, the audience want all of these things. Need to give the audience a bit of everything. Disc 3, again, there's one or two with the Stooges and Ted Healy. And there's actually a couple with Shemp by himself. I mentioned how Shemp, after, when Curly was doing when Curly was part of the acts, Shemp was doing his own thing in solo shorts. And there's a couple on here. Corn on the Top, Saltwater Daffy, His First Flame. So that, yeah, that was interesting to see Shemp by himself. And Shemp would be in some Abbott Costello stuff. And that's also another thing, before I forget. You had all of this comedy in the 30s to 40s. I never understood why no one ever crossed over. You never had the Three Stooges with Lauren Hardy, or the Three Stooges with Abbott Costello. You never had Abbott Costello with Lauren Hardy. You never had Red Skelton with the Three Stooges. They never crossed over. You would think, I guess maybe there was that competitive nature. Maybe that's why. But you would think a studio would be like, hey, let's combine some of these guys into one film, and that would garner even more box office attraction. But that never happened. Never happened. I never understood that. You have all, nowadays, considered comedy classes. They're around that same era. And again, none of them really ever, the closest you got was Shemp. And for what I understand, Lou Costello was jealous of Shemp because it seemed like Shemp was getting more laughs than Lou in the Abbott Costello films, but the few he appeared in before he came back to the Three Stooges. And then disc 4 is some of the animated cartoons I mentioned with Curly Joe, Dorita, Moe, and Larry. I mean, for $3, it was worth it for some of the stuff I had never seen before, as well as commercials. Also, you have trailers for these movies. So again, it's worth it as a Three Stooges fan for a couple bucks. Not bad at all. And I'll show these. These are most of the Curly Joe, Dorita, and Moe and Larry films. You have Rocky Will Travel, Time Out for the Rhythm, Rocky and the Rockies, The Three Stooges Go Around the World in a Daze, The Outlaws Is Coming, Three Stooges Meet Hercules. The ones I grew up with were Outlaws Is Coming, Around the World in a Daze, and The Meet Hercules, as well as this one, which I'll get to. And actually, The Outlaws Is Coming, the guy that stars with them is Adam West from the 60s Batman. So yes, Adam West stars with the Three Stooges in The Outlaws Is Coming. And this showcases pretty much 3 movies per disc. Because, I mean, sure. I mean, it's Mill Creek Entertainment, what do you expect? But, you know, Columbia Pictures, that's how much they care about the Three Stooges that, yeah, put 3 movies on 1 disc. Sure, why not? There you go. And then, I don't know why this wasn't part of that set. But, I mean, I guess technically you can buy them separately, to be fair. So I'll take that back a little bit. So there are standalone sets like this, and then there's that pack there. But this is the Three Stooges in orbit. And last but not least, I wanted to finish off with this. I have not watched this yet, but I just got this in the mail. And that's why I had to wait a few days before doing the video to show this. It is a 9-episode, 9-part documentary about the life of the Three Stooges called Hey Mo, Hey Dad, and this collector's edition. Very thick too. Like, look how thick this is. Like Michael Keane, I would recommend this. Because I know he's a fan of the Stooges. And just to show what's in this, take a little bit to open it. So yeah, it's a 9-episode miniseries of the life of the Three Stooges, hosted by Moe's son. And you get a bunch of trinkets too. Like this right here, which is cool. Some nice cartoon drawings of them. And you open them up and you get looks like stamps of Moe, Larry. This is the time of Curly Joe. And the Three Stooges fan club. So doing I guess a replication of what you could do back in the day to be in. I'll be in the fan club. And they have more memorabilia in this package. Nice that you have some of the comic book as part of the cover. And even more trinkets. Like, it's a lot of stuff packed in here. I mean, you got Motion picture employee identification card. So it's replication of the cards they would have back in the day, like this one from Mo Howard. If lost, will finder of this card please return to, and they give the address, Hollywood Boulevard, Hollywood, California, issued by Columbia Pictures Corporation. Date issued 1942. Eyes blue-green, hair brown. This is when he was 45. Even got his fingerprints on it. Man, you had to have fingerprints back in the day for a card like this? Fuck. You want a semen sample too, Columbia? Actors Equity Association with the American Federation of Labor. Yeah, Mo Howard's son hosts this. That's probably why a lot of this is Mo, because the son is like, hey, let me replicate stuff my dad had. A postcard. Not sure I can read all this. Hope you are both in good health. Oh, this is like a postcard. I'm not going to try to spend the whole time trying to read it. You have a little poster, a foreign poster. No, I do not know what that says. This is pretty cool. I mean, this is all like the added bonus. It's not the reason why I got it, but it's all like little added bonus. This is a nice little letter that they wrote to one of their kids. Very nice. Your daddy put a dime in this little envelope for you because you're a very good little girl, and he told me to keep my hands on the envelope so no one would get the dime but you. So I guess his repetition is some letters. And one right here, which you can barely see with the light. Well, I talked about that alphabet song. These are actually the notes. Actually some of the lyrics too, so that's pretty cool. Wow, that's pretty neat. Trying to get this in there so I don't want it messed up. Yeah, little cards like this. That's Mo. I think on the set of the Hercules, Meet Hercules one. Yeah, Mo and his family. I think this is Curly when he was much younger. Very young Curly. A little bit of Mo and Shemp. Little backstage fun with Curly. I know this video's going on long, but fuck this, the Three Stooges, they deserve it. They deserve it. You have actually a comic book, which is pretty cool. There. You actually have a script for one of their shorts. This case is Uncivil Wars. So it's interesting. You actually read a script. Definitely worth it for any Stooge fan. Definitely worth it. And then a memorabilia booklet. There's a little overview of their career. Oh, and it tells you the meaning of each of these things in there. So it does explain why each of these are in there. So that's actually cool. There's a little bit of written... Like the motion picture employee card. Mo's signature, social security, fingerprints. Notice that the card says motion picture employee and Columbia Pictures is typed in. And the basement was Hollywood Billiards, the oldest pool hall in Hollywood. Oh, that little postcard with the cursive writing. Mo and wife Helen did travel, and Mo always home to family and friends. His reference to taking pictures of movies. He took a lot of pictures, both still photos and home movies. The movies were 8 or 16mm film, as his travels were long before the advent of tape or digital cameras. Oh, that foreign poster. Throughout Latin America, the Three Stooges are known as Los Tres Chiflados, or Los Three Chiflados. This poster is promoting the live performance at Hiram Pithorn Stadium in San Juan, Puerto Rico. The Three Stooges performed abroad throughout their career, with their first trip to Great Britain in 1939. The one with the baby on it. Whilst touring, Mo missed his family, so you could rarely tell from the sentiments in this letter to his daughter Joan. Mo, like all the Three Stooges, was a loving family man. It even explains the meaning of each of those little photos. So that's a nice touch. That's actually a nice touch. And then you have the 3 DVDs. You have Volume 1, A Personal Journey with Mo Howard's Son back to the 1890s, when the sons of a strong-willed Jewish mother learned about love, laughter, and shtick on the streets of Brooklyn. Shemp quietly exits the trio as little brother Curly steps in with gusto and brilliance. In the 30s, new era, as the Stooges give an uppercut to the upper class in an avalanche of wildly popular slapstick movie shorts. Each episode is about an hour long. Again, I've not seen these yet, but each one about an hour long, and pretty much being successful, taking them around Europe. Then making fun of the Nazis and Hitler. What happened with Curly, sad to say. Then Shemp joining the group. And then Volume 3. Enter new stooge Joel Besser. Exit 24 years of short but sweet times at Columbia Pictures. Mo Howard's son tells of the growing tension in the family as the winds of change blow upon the Three Stooges yet again, and a lovable old friend enters the picture. Curly Joe Dorita. And then about how TV captured millions of fans. They want more of the Stooges. Future film career blasts off. They're messing with the likes of Frank Sinatra, Ed Sullivan, voicing their own anime series, selling out live shows. And then the world bids farewell to Mo and Larry as the days of the Stooges end. The legacy proves eternal. New generations meet the Stooges on the internet. Mo Howard's son Paul and his family return to Brooklyn to celebrate a legacy of funniness and family. It is a 9-part documentary. Each one an hour long. Amongst these three. So I definitely got to set aside some time for that. But yeah, I mean, I had to get that, being a Three Stooges fan. Just had to get it. And I guess I'll show this because I do have this. Why do I have it? A long time ago, someone had sent me a little box of random movies, and this was part of it. I didn't throw it away because it was a gift. I don't really throw away gifts. I just don't like doing that because they're gifts. I do have this, which I'm not a fan of this movie, but yeah, I kept it as a gift. But yeah. In all fairness, these three guys are doing the best they can, in all fairness, but so it doesn't run on long. Let me put it this way. I don't think a Three Stooges movie should have piss fights involving babies, nuns that are half naked for their tits to ready to pop up, nuns played by guys like Larry David, fart jokes. One of the big jokes at the end of the film is them trapped in a car. What are we going to do? And someone lights a match and Curly farts. Or Snooki and the Jersey Shore. I don't know why the Farrelly brothers thought you need to put that into a Three Stooges since they're such huge fans. Huge fans of it. And also, as a huge fan, you would know you cannot replicate these guys. You can try, but to me it's going to end in failure because these guys are these guys. Anything else is just imitation and leftovers, and it's just not nearly going to be as satisfying. It's just not. So with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.